After a 2 week hiatus of us not being here and going all in on the Dolphins, we're back.
We're
Martin,
finally back, and we look a little slimmer, Tony.
I'm feeling skinny. That's because Skinny's not here. We had a week off of All Fin for us to introduce the All Fin network and the chop block, starting our boy Finale. You're gonna see great highlights, great in-depth look. Always remember, guys, this is the All Fin network. Like, share, subscribe. But let's get into it. I'm here with Martin once again. After being gone for 2 weeks, we had the Raiders and then we had the Jets. The Raiders game wasn't as a blowout as we thought, Martin.
No,
So give me some thought on that, man.
that game to me was a lot closer than it should have been. But the Raiders are
Yep.
gritty. The Raiders are playing for a coach that they got. It's a big turnaround going from Josh McDaniels
Mhm.
to Antonio Pierce. They look like they want to play for this guy, and they're showing a lot. And even yesterday's game versus the Chiefs, they were actually in it until the end. So hats off to them. But we got the win last week, and we're on to the Jets this week. Black Friday, first game ever, and it wasn't as exciting as you wanted it to be for a Black
Yeah.
Friday game. But I'll take it. It was. How do you feel about the Raiders game? Just before we touch back to the Jets.
Man, I don't like the Raiders, but let me tell you, I love Pierce as a coach. I love them as a player. He brings that black Air Force energy to the sidelines.
This
The
guy.
play, the players play for him, as you can tell. Locker room loves him. You got your stars like Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs. They're back into it, man. And like you said, they're fighting for their guy. Hopefully, they squeeze him, make some big wins. Not a Raiders fan, as you can tell. It's
Oh,
all
I
in on
thought we
the
were going
Dolphins.
all Raiders. I thought we were going all Raiders this time.
But dude, yeah, close game. I want to give a shout out to that defense for the Raiders, man. They really came out to play. They gave Tua a little bit of trouble, not too much, a little bit of trouble. We saw pick out there. We couldn't get the run going, which was weird. Let me hear
Yeah.
some about.
No, that we actually ended up grinding it out at the end. It wasn't bad. We ended up with 20 carries for Mostert and 90 something yards. Yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't your typical execution you want from the run game, but we got it when we needed it. When we needed to waste some clock, because unfortunately, it wasn't a good offensive game for Tua. It wasn't bad. It
yeah,
wasn't a bad game at all. But in essence, that we didn't really get what we wanted. Like we didn't manhandle them as we thought we would going into Miami. Back off the road game. um, but yeah, I'm happy with what we got from Mostert. Mostert got 20 carries, 90 something yards.
yeah.
And I think Mostert got. I mean, not Mostert. Ahmed got hurt, so he was the only guy in the backfield for that game because we had Jeff Wilson and A Chain. Um, it was Jeff Wilson active and A Chain got
No, whoa,
hurt.
whoa, whoa. Chan got hurt in that game. Ahmed came out and scored in that game off a reception. So
Oh, okay, yeah, it was this game that he got
yeah,
hurt.
yeah,
Okay, I'm getting confused. All right,
yeah.
so we can't go 2 weeks without doing anything because you forget
It's
you
too
ramble shit up.
much time. Nah, but in these 2 weeks, we still had the Jets that we just played this past week. Dolphins make history again. First Black Friday game, first Friday game in the history of the NFL. We take care of the Jets. Not a crazy exciting game for all the
At all.
hype that was going into it. Martin, you're kind of like sus Dolphins, and
This
you
guy.
went to go see the Jets. So, what do you think about that,
The,
man?
the the hype was around Rodgers, man. At the end of the day, this whole season about the Jets, I don't care how good their defense was. Nobody cared about the defense. Everybody was waiting to see Rodgers. I was waiting to see Rodgers. I went to New York to watch the Jets and see Herbert and Rodgers. It didn't happen. So Black Friday, that game was packed because of Rodgers, and it sucked because the output that we got from the offense on both ends was pretty like boring. You're hoping for a good offensive show out somehow from Tua, but ultimately it was a defensive game on both sides. It started off really slow. I think we ended the first quarter 3-0. I was like,
Mhm.
bro, I cannot watch this anymore right now. But ultimately the defense really made a show on both sides. We got a early pick six in the second quarter. I mean, late in the second quarter, we got a pick six to see, and then we got another pick
Yeah.
right before halftime. So again, it was a defensive battle in the first half. You got some glimpse of Tyreek Hill and what he has to offer. And finally, we got to see Waddle. I know we've been
Yup.
dying for that. We've been dying for Waddle to get some action.
Man, it's good to see Waddle. Finally he looked frustrated after that Raiders game. A lot of people were saying in the press
I think we
conference,
were. We
he
all were.
wasn't really into it, but it's great to see him get some receptions, get into the game, have 100 yards. That's a really big thing. You said the offense wasn't exciting. I mean, I feel like they still
It
had some
wasn't.
points with Tyreek. Damn, bro, like that.
Yeah, think about it. All right. So the first score of the game, or the first drive that we ended up getting a touchdown, was it
Hmm.
got started off with a motion screen to Tyreek that the offensive line, it
In the
looked like
red
a bum
zone.
rush. Yeah, that we had a
In the
bum
red
rush
zone.
on them.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the prettiest play of the drive, but nothing really exciting happened. And it's crazy because if you look at the stats, Tyreek Hill balled, Jalen Waddle balled. Mostert ended up having a really good game with the two
Yeah.
touchdowns and the 90 something yards. But in the first half, it was so bad. It was rough to watch, man. Like, yeah, you love defensive battles here and there, but Black Friday game, you're like, damn, we get all this national attention, and this is
Yep.
what we saw in the first half. I wasn't happy about it. I'll take the win. Ultimately, I don't care, but it just I want to see something exciting, and the Jets aren't offering it. That's for sure.
I mean, that's one thing in the NFL, man. It doesn't matter how you get the win, just it matters if you get the win. We took care of business as we should. We should take care of business against these type of teams, even though people are saying we're struggling against big teams. If you take care of these type of teams, it's gonna be a nice road for you. Something set out. Look, we're on top of the AFC East right now, up 3 games. So let's move on. We're gonna go into our usual talks, and we're gonna get into the flop. Martin, let's start with you, man. What was your flop?
Ultimately, it had to be the way the offense played in the first half. I really didn't see, what I was looking for out of Tua. I know it's a very good defense, but I felt like he put it together some good drives, and ultimately they couldn't close. They couldn't get the points on the board. Our defense really did hold it together for us ultimately, and Tua, he ended up having, again, like I mentioned, a few good drives, but had some costly errors, especially at the end of the first half. You can't have picks like that. Those are, if we're playing anyone else other than the Jets this season, I think the game's completely different. But yeah, I would say right now the biggest flop was the entire offense. As I think Mostert had 15 yards. Tua had
Yeah,
like 100 or something yards in the first half. It was that, to me, easily was the biggest flop of the first half.
it's crazy that we're talking about Tua and Mr. Finale isn't here right now, dude. Dude, that guy would get roasted right now, and he even knows it because I was watching the game with him, and those picks were just ridiculous. What was he doing out there?
I
And
think
it's such
the first one I'll give to whatever. It was a very good play. The second one was him trying to do too much. Go ahead. Yeah,
yeah.
that's my opinion there.
I'm even the first one. It's like why you didn't have to make the throw. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they even when you look at the replay, like he looked at three different reads, and his last read was Barrios. So like anyone on that defense is like, if I can make a ball, if I could jump this ball, it's mine, because it
Yeah.
was his last progression. It wasn't worth throwing, but ultimately you're looking to make a play. He knew that the offense really wasn't executing as well as they want to, so you're trying to see what you can do. And obviously the defense made a play there.
It sucks to see him throw the picks, but at least we got the dub once again.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna say
you want those corrections to happen now. Like you want them to get out of the system, because the Raiders game wasn't pretty, the Jets game wasn't pretty. If it's getting out of your system, then great. If you're going to continue to do this, it's going to cost you in the long run. We're not, again, our tough games come at the end of the year, the last three, but you're about to get there. Washington's around the corner. You're not really worried about them, but don't you can't these can't continue. These type of moments.
so. Here's my thing in the Raiders game with the interception he threw. Is that really a bad pass? He's really throwing it where nobody was at. That was like a great play made by the DB. So is he
It was.
forcing it? Maybe, but it's into an open space.
No, again, I'm not saying the decision was bad in that situation, but ultimately, like it's a repeated case. You could say it sometimes, like, all right, this one was a good decision, better play. But if it continues to happen, are you going to continue saying, "Hey, that was a good decision, good throw," but the interception ended up being there? Like, you're not going to say that the whole time. You can't. Like, it's redundant if you're just going to have the same excuse for him. But again, he's been playing very well. I'm not complaining. It's just those certain instances that he needs to clean it up, and he knows it. So I'm not upset.
You really like that he's coming out to that podium and saying, "I need to get better. I need to get better," huh?
Yes, you don't hear it too often. So I will praise the person. Again, I'm not the biggest Tua fan on the field, but
Hater.
as a person, no, as a person, it seems like he's very accountable of himself. So he's trying to get better, and the team sees it. So ultimately, if he cleans it up, I'm not going to be on his ass if little by little he just takes those mistakes away.
It's
But
crazy to think that in a dub where he threw two interceptions and he's the flop, that we still got a big win by a good
yeah, but
margin. That's the crazy
yeah,
part.
it is. It 100% is. But you're playing the fucking Jets. The Jets offense has scored 7 touchdowns all year. I think it is. So ultimately, are you really worried about that offense going in? You're just hoping your quarterback doesn't make the mistakes that make the game close. Because if you look at that, we're up 10-6. If
Mhm.
that interception by Holland doesn't happen before the half, you're looking at a completely different game. You're looking at 10-6 going into the half. They got the ball back at the second half, correct? Or we got it. No, I can't even remember that. Whatever. All right.
I can't
So
really
10
remember it
10
either, man.
10 10 6 going into the half. You're not worried going into the second half, but at the end of the day, that's a very close game versus a very good defense that can change the outcome of the game very quickly. So that's basically what I was worried about. The fact that it was so close, because they've held teams to 10, 15, 14 points various times this year. So the Bills have struggled versus the Jets both times they played them.
Yep.
So again, you don't want to be too close for comfort, especially a Black Friday game when they're trying to make a statement. And now Rodgers is talking about he's coming back mid of December. They're trying to make that push for him to be worth coming back for. So yeah, again, that to me just needs to be cleaned up.
I'm glad that you mentioned the Javon Holland pick right before the half because we're gonna get right into the turning point right now. Okay.
That
And
would,
to me, that was the turning point. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah.
A
Honestly,
good
he's
thing
been
to go.
go
No,
ahead,
go
go.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He's been waiting for one of those. I think that's his first pick of the
Yeah.
season. He looked like a center fielder out there. Luckily, it literally when he caught it, was nobody really around him. Like although everybody's in the end zone, like it looked like it was clean until he got out and got to midfield where he had a couple
Yep.
people around him. But I think it was basically O lineman and Brees Hall. And Brees Hall, I don't know if you saw the play, he got knocked out by Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins put him on his ass. So that was beautiful to see that again. He had the acceleration to get from 99 yards isn't hard. I mean, it isn't easy. So if you're getting people chasing you like they are, obviously all the wide receivers were behind them. So once he got all the big boys in front of him, only it was up to
Yep.
him, and he took care of it. What do you think?
No, I like I said, that's the turning point of the game. The fact that he got the ball in his hands with that open field. This guy used to be a punt returner back in the day.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
any player who used to play a skilled position and gets ball in open field is dangerous, especially in the NFL. Like you said, he got the big bodies in front of him. My biggest thing with that you said right now is that he's been waiting for one of these. He's not seeing a lot of balls like he has in the past being thrown his way, which is kind of throwing a lot of people off with him, saying, "Oh, he's not making plays, or he's not what people sought out for him to be this season." You got to remember, man, if you're doing your job on defense, the ball's not supposed to come your way. You're in coverage. So I wanted to point that out there for people saying, "Oh, Javon Holland, he hasn't done enough," or with the corners you have, he should be making more plays. If you're doing your job, you ain't gonna see the ball. So
And I don't want to compare him to this person, but a guy that they would never throw the ball towards was Ed Reed. Ed Reed, whenever the
yep,
ball was in
yep,
his vicinity, it was
yep,
his. So if you're keeping the ball away from the guy that you find as a threat, that makes perfect sense. You're on the money on that. I'm not taking away anything from
yeah,
Javon Holland. It's just how good he has shown to be that people are game planning against him and making sure the ball's nowhere near him, even if it's a pick or somebody's getting rattled by his tackle. That's not what you want. So yeah, our corner, the fact that he's not getting more attention with the corners we have, it just
Yep.
shows Kader Kohu has been picked on a lot this year. He's been playing
Yep.
good, but
Really good.
those are the guys that are really getting the and our linebackers. Those are the people getting the attention. Our linebackers are
Dude,
Kohu.
Jerome Baker
So
has like 2, 3 picks this season. That's crazy.
yeah. So ultimately, I'm not upset about how Javon Holland is playing. Would I like more numbers? But yeah, of course, anybody would. But if his numbers, if he's not the one being attacked and he's not the one being picked on a daily basis, that you can say, look, they made a play on this guy, then you got to be happy with it. Sometimes being quiet, your name not being mentioned is a good thing, and I think that's
Yep.
the case for Holland.
It's just crazy to me that fans attack players when it's not players' fault. Eh, the team
Nah,
is
but it's part
winning
of
and everything. It's
they,
crazy. It's crazy.
you know it, man. You know it's gonna happen. Again, like I talk shit about Tua every now and then because I'll be like, oh, this isn't right. It's gonna happen. How are you not gonna? If your name's not being mentioned, you're not doing something right. Like that. At the end of the day, I don't think all attention's good attention, but being an NFL player, you're gonna get, and especially having fans of a team, you're ultimately gonna get bashed some way. Come on, man. Guys like Austin Jackson that were bashed since his rookie year. Look at what he's
Yep.
doing now. Like there's always gonna be that player or somebody to stand out that's being criticized, and hopefully they rise to the occasion, and most of them have.
Well, it's a good thing we got a good coach to help them get there. We saw a lot of it this past week with the Hard Knocks episode coming into light. The series actually, because we're gonna get a couple episodes now mid-season. And McDaniel's, man, what a great of a coach. If you want to talk about a turning point, this guy just turned the whole franchise around for us. And look how we're doing right now in year 2, but it's really been a
Yeah,
year and a half of McDaniel's. So I just want to throw that out there. It's just insane how the
yeah.
complete 360, 180, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch too much on the Hard Knocks because I haven't seen it yet. I really haven't. I haven't gotten
Come
to
on.
it,
Hey, you really are a
but
fake Dolphins fan,
but
bro.
but
God.
now I'm gonna touch on what you're saying. Yes, McDaniel has literally turned this franchise around. As you can see, the culture around it, the way people, I guess, are able to like get along now. It wasn't like this with Flores, according to I'm going off everybody saying. I don't know. I like Flores as a coach, more defensive coordinator than anything. I get it. I was a big fan of his, but McDaniel obviously has brought everyone together and made this a family more than anything. It seems like so that's what you want out of your team. You don't see it very often, especially if you're an old school coach. It's about my way or the highway. This guy's a young and has come through a lot of struggle, so he's bringing that to the team, and they're buying in, and it's so early on. 2 seasons is nothing in this NFL. You can be fired tomorrow, but
Yep.
he's making the most out of it. I will say. So I can't be more than happy to call that guy our coach. But let's see. It's still early. Let's see what he does to end the season.
Bro, before we started recording, you told me you were going to teach me something because you got a little shirt on there that says Mr. Feeney. I think the one that needs to learn something is you and get in front of the Hard Knocks, bro. That
Yeah,
was
no,
great.
I'll probably watch it this week. Obviously, there the new episode's coming this week as well, right? So is it
Yeah.
one every week? All right, so I'll watch the
Yeah.
new one later. I guess another day, but I'll watch that hopefully this week. But yeah, hey, get off my back, all right, guy.
Feeney. We got
But
a big week coming up. So let's go. Let's get into the river. We're gonna go all the way up to Washington D.C. to face the Commanders. They got a young quarterback in Sam Howell, great running back in Brian Robinson. Um, yeah, so win in and out. Yeah. Martin, your thoughts on the game, man? Well, what do you got
yeah,
coming for us?
honestly, this is one of the few teams that normally looking at the schedule you're not worried about. But this has been the team to put the Eagles to the test, not once, but twice. And we're going into their home. That offense can get explosive. It can be. It could be a
Yep.
Heckle or Hyde type of situation. that how could have a lot of touchdowns or could have a lot of interceptions. Our
What is he?
defense
Number
is
two
probably
in passing yards, right?
yeah, he's up there, man. That offense is moving, but it's because
That's
they have so
crazy.
many. I will say, you're getting a lot of yards when you have a lot of turnovers and you get the ball back really quick.
Hmm.
So like that can be the situation, but the offense has played very well this year, and it's something that when they're on their game, they're really good. Their defense, you should be able to take advantage of them. They pretty much cleaned house before the deadline, so you're not really worried about it.
Yeah.
But as long as we can get our offense going very early, this game should be in the bag. But you don't want to go. You can't go about it anymore. After the last 2 weeks of the offense, you need to make sure you play clean football, run the ball, have a balanced attack, keep them off the field, keep your defense off the field, and keep their offense off the field. And this should be a very good, clean game for us. Hopefully, Achan's back. Mostert, if he keeps getting in 20 carries, I think that this will be a recipe for success. So, what do you think?
I think it's not a team that you
No,
should
you're not.
take lightly. Yeah, you don't take lightly because you've seen that they come out every single game and have given some sort of competition to the opponent. They're coached very well. They have Ron Rivera on that sideline. They have a really good run game. And like I mentioned earlier, Sam Howell is like 2 or 3 in passing yards this season, which is just crazy. They don't have great receivers. They have Terry McLaurin, which will be their best one. Other than that, I really can't say any of the other receivers stand out. So I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I got the Dolphins winning
Oh my god!
35-10. So what's your
I'll be
prediction?
honest. I'm not gonna give you a prediction just yet, but it all that team is. They'll show you who they are in the first half. If they have a good first half, then they'll have a good second half. If they have
Yeah.
a good, I mean, if they have a bad first half, then don't even. You're not worried about them. That game is they're coasting. So this game to me will be a 27-10 game. That ultimately, I'm looking for Tua hopefully to get pick things back up, have a balanced attack. Mostert should have around 15 to 20 carries. If Achan's back, and that's all I want. I want him back and healthy because the tough stretch is coming up very soon, and that's really where we need him. So if we don't have Achan
Mhm.
this week or next week, I'm okay with it. We just need to have him back for the last 3 games of the season. That
Yeah.
really is where we need him, and or we're gonna have the issue if we don't.
Dude, you mentioned Achan a lot that he got hurt, but the biggest loss to me this past week versus
Oh
the
wow,
Jets,
wow!
yeah,
How
yeah,
did we not even
Jalen
bring that up?
Phillips, bro.
Wow,
Jalen
wow,
Phillips, bro.
wow,
Dude,
wow.
losing him is huge. Um, I mean, it is huge, but you still got
No, no,
Van
but no, but
Ginkel, you
nope.
still got Ogba, you
I
still
love
got
Bang. Don't say
guys.
leave Agba home. Go home.
I
Don't
love
even
Van
travel with the
Ginkel.
team.
I love Van
Don't.
Ginkel. You could put him anywhere on that line, anywhere as a linebacker, he's gonna perform.
Yes,
So
he will do. All right. So the guys like Van Ginkel do well. When they're doing those hustle plays, but
yeah,
when a team is scheming for you, you are. It's a completely different task. I don't think Van Ginkel, Van Ginkel could keep up to the task for the rest of the season. Agbo really has to step up in order for that defense to thrive. As we saw earlier in the season when Phillips was out, our D line didn't look the same. When Chubb and Phillips are together, the whole D line looks completely different, and it makes it much easier for our secondary. So we need to see who's going to step up and how quickly do they step up with Phillips out. Phillips is a huge loss. I think he ultimately is the best defender on our D line, even better
yeah.
than Chubb. So not having Phillips, I don't know how Chubb's going to react because you're going to get a lot more attention when you don't have to worry about both sides. It's a whole different ball game, and I do think it's going to be a bigger challenge for Chubb.
One thing I'm gonna say is now that Phillips is gone, and I've been against it, but now's the time for Christian Wilkins to earn his money.
Bro, I'm sorry. I think he's been the person to benefit the most because we've had a healthy D line. Right now, without Phillips, I don't see Wilkins right now. Right now, what I've seen, him being the contributing factor that you need to change around. this season
Yeah.
without Phillips. I, I just don't. He's been so good lately. He has 6 sacks in whatever how many games we've had. We've had 11 games because of how good our D line, her defense in general has looked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ziegler is the guy that's been consistent throughout the year with or without Phillips. But
Big Zach
Wilkins,
Sealer.
yeah, I know, but that's one guy. We need a whole D line to be good. And
Dude, but if you're missing that gap in Phillips, the fact that you have Wilkins, and Wilkins is not just a DT. Wilkins is a guy you can move around on the line. Like I said, now's the time for him to earn his money. Time for Van Ginkel to come out and shine. And Ogba, before he got the little dink and dank injuries and all of this,
he was
he
good.
was
Yeah,
shining. Yeah, he was shining. So
it was
you haven't really seen much of him to start the season. You really didn't see much of him at the ending of last season. So my thing is, are you completely healthy? And if you are, now's the time to show it.
he's fresh. This
Yeah.
guy, this
Yeah.
Alpha Thrust, man. That's not gonna be the problem. I don't think it has this lack of playing time has anything to do with injuries. It's lack of production, lack of energy he's shown on the field. If he can turn that around and be like, look, I think he's on a contract year. I think he's not gonna get paid by us. If he doesn't step up and do it, you might be a free agent next year, all over into the next season, not only training camp.
Yep.
So step
Mhm.
up, show what you can do now, and get paid next year by someone else. Because if not, just right off into the sunset, buddy. You've been given a great opportunity with this defense to hopefully shine and make your money. And if you don't, it's all on you. Because no Phillips means it's you or Van Ginkel, and you should easily beat him out for the position.
I'm glad we closed the show talking about Jalen Phillips. He's such a key piece for the defense and for the team. As always, guys, thank you for watching. This is all Finn. Martin, you got anything else you want to drop?
Yeah, like, subscribe, and share. Let's do it.
This is All Fin under the All Fin Network, brought to you by Tune Out Media. Guys, remember, you guys got us, and we got the chop block. Fins up, baby. It's always number one.